Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabar.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Friday is still far away. Tomorrow.
Today is Thursday.
Public holiday of yesterday.
You're already in the weekend.
No, it's the public holiday of yesterday. It's the public holiday.
Yes, good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai.
Morning, bless you, sir.
We'll start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Ganduje. Kwankwaso will remain serial loser in presidential elections. The Kwankwaso head who wears a red cap is the person who prefers to be a king in hell than be a servant in paradise. He specializes in deceiving people. Abdullahi Ganduje, the chairman of the All Progressive Congress, of course, ridiculing the presidential candidate of the NNPP, his fellow Kanu brother, yesterday when he received the decampi from the NNPP to the APC. Well, when you're on the winning side, you can crack jokes, you can ridicule, but Kwankwaso Ganduje must also realize that it was Kwankwaso, one of the few who supported his deputy to become governor. But the ties have changed. But what he's saying, describing Kwankwaso as a serial presidential candidate, perhaps if only Kwankwaso had just seized the opportunity of teaming up with Peter Obi as the Labour Party tried to do some alliance with his party earlier in the day, perhaps the story would have been different today. So he would rather contest as a presidential candidate than be a running mate to Peter Obi. Of course, when we look at the figures of that election, and many still believe that perhaps if Kwankwaso had teamed up with Peter Obi, bringing the Kanu votes and all that to join the Peter Obi movement, perhaps the story would have been different. So if the APC chairman is ridiculing him today as a serial loser who would rather be king in hell than a servant in paradise, well, it's the nature of politics for such talk. Now, we go to the story above the masthead of this day. Afrexim Bank taps oil traders to finance $3 billion cash for crude loan to NNPC. Yes, of course, the African Exim Export-Import Bank, Afrexim, is currently tapping traders to enable, them take the oil to finance the $3 billion loan, the emergency cash for crude oil repayment. Yes, that's the amount, that money, which the NNPC, the money will be coming straight to NNPC. It's a loan that was adjudged central to the country's effort to support the failing Naira. But if what NNPC has done with the dividend from the NNLG is anything to go by, where that money is said to have gone into the subsidy which nobody has made provision for, because one of the reasons the president gave then on Inauguration Day was that no provision was made for subsidy. Now, no provision has been made for subsidy anywhere, but NNPC, we have been told, is already subsidizing petrol with dividend from NNLG. This is why when some describe the subsidy regime as a regime that is opaque and fraught with corruption, you won't blame them, because no provision made, but NNPC already subsidizing. Now, $3 billion NNPC going to NNPC cash for loan, according to this story, which has been on since. But now, the Afrexim Bank is looking for traders who will take the crude, give them the cash, and they give $3 billion to the federal government. Now, if we look at other newspapers quickly, the Guardian newspaper lacks PIA implementation, leaves NNPCL, NUPRC, NMDPRA in disarray. Yes, one of the problems we have in this country is not the absence of laws. How we implement and enforce those laws, always the problem. Now, the PIA we've clamored for almost forever, and eventually that bill was signed into law and we had the PIA. Are we implementing the PIA to the letter? Not exactly, but the Guardian is reporting that these agencies that are the fallout of the PIA are in disarray as a result of lax implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act. The Punch newspaper, Labour forced federal government's meeting, insists on indefinite strike. The Punch newspaper, any fresh meeting won't stop us. It's going to be mother of all strikes. Labour unions vow. Federal government says new meeting date will be announced. TUC asks government to account for subsidy removal savings. Labour. The Vanguard also reporting Labour strike. How Labour veterans got NLC, TUC to close ranks. NLC, TUC, each working separate agenda for same purpose. NLC not carrying us along. TUC alleges TUC betrayed us. NLC counters. Veterans of labor movement intervene. NLC, TUC leaders meet, iron out differences, jointly declare strike. Yes, how two unions that were working in different silos, hoping to achieve the same goal, decided to come together, and now they're talking of the mother of all strikes. Come the 3rd of October. Now, above the masthead, Biden appoints Osage Masoge, Chineye Ogwemike as advisors to Americans of Nigerian extraction, appointed as advisors by President Biden. Of course, we already have Wale Adeyemo, who is Assistant Secretary for Treasury. Well, did somebody whisper into the ears of President Biden that Nigerians, they do federal character, because this time we have Chineye Ogwemike and Osage Masoge. Well, Ruben Rufai and Ayo, if we have time.
Well, thank you very much, Emmanuel Efene. We understand we don't have more time. Otherwise, we'll have talked about the coup attempt in Burkina Faso. It looks like these schools, seem to have no end. Thank you very much.